Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's Sunday morning satsang. We have our pleasure of having Brahmachari Jemal with us. Good morning and welcome, Jamalji. It's our pleasure, it's our blessing to have you with us. And we have a very special topic today: how to meet our spiritual tests. And I'd like to ask Jamalji to start the session with a prayer. Jamalji, over to you.
Thank you, Alok. Thank you, Diti. Okay, let's pray together. Divine Mother, Heavenly Father, friend, beloved God, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Sri Yukteswar, our beloved Guru, Paramhansa Yogananda, and saints of all religions, we humbly bow to you all. Great Masters, come to us today. Come into our hearts, that we may feel the perfection of your divine plan in everything and everywhere. Come to us, that we may know your peace, your love, and your joy, that we may share you with all of your children. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We'll now have a chant. Now take that into meditation. So let's do a few of the techniques here. Let's inhale with a double breath, and let's tense our body. Vibrate. Exhale, relax. Do it again. Tense with will. Relax and feel. One more time. Now let's practice even count breathing. Exhale. Inhale through the nose. Hold. Exhale through your nose. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Again, inhale. Hold. Exhale. And now just watch your breath. Watch high in the nose, as high as possible in the nose. Just watch. And now let's meditate. We'll practice techniques for 10 minutes, and then I'll come back on and ask us to sit in the silence, take some time for inner communion. But whatever techniques you want to practice, let's practice techniques now for 10 minutes. Let's now take 5 minutes or so to stop practicing whatever techniques you're practicing. Keep your eyes gently uplifted at the point between the eyebrows, where they should already be anyways, and just relax. Try to just feel more and more deep peace. Try to simply just be. Try to open your heart to whatever way God wants to come to you right now. For 5 minutes or so, let's practice inner communion now. Let's visualize anyone we know who's in need of healing. Let's pray together. Divine Mother, Thou art omnipresent. Thou art in these, Thy children. Manifest Thy healing presence in these bodies, in their minds, and in their souls. Let's rub our hands together. Let's send out these blessings by chanting Om 3 times together. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So we'll now have a reading, and this is an affirmation actually, and Diti will lead us in this.
This affirmation is on courage. There's a short reading before the affirmation, and then we start practicing the affirmation. There are 3 kinds of human courage: blind, passive, and dynamic. Blind courage doesn't count the cost until it finds itself faced, horror-stricken, with the will. Passive courage is the strength of will to adjust to reality, whatever it may be. The dynamic courage is the strength of will not only to accept reality, but to confront it with another reality of one's own making. There is a 4th kind of courage, not human, but divine. Divine courage comes from living in the awareness of God's presence within and in the realization that He is the sole reality. Live more in Him, for nothing and no one can touch what you really are. And now we practice the affirmation together, first in a loud voice, 3 times, then in a normal voice, then in a whisper, and then mentally 2 rounds. So sit with the spine straight, focusing deeply at the point between the eyebrows, and then first start in a loud voice. I live protected by God's infinite light. So long as I remain in the heart of it, nothing and no one can harm me. I live protected by God's infinite light. So long as I remain in the heart of it, nothing and no one can harm me. I live protected by God's infinite light. So long as I remain in the heart of it, nothing and no one can harm me. Now in a normal voice, I live protected by God's infinite light. So long as I remain in the heart of it, nothing and no one can harm me. I live protected by God's infinite light. So long as I remain in the heart of it, nothing and no one can harm me. I live protected in God's infinite light. So long as I remain in the heart of it, nothing and no one can harm me. Now, in a whispering tone, I live protected by God's infinite light. So long as I remain in the heart of it, nothing and no one can harm me. I live protected in God's infinite light. So long as I remain in the heart of it, nothing and no one can harm me. I live protected in God's infinite light. So long as I remain in the heart of it, nothing and no one can harm me. Now mentally taking the vibration deep into our consciousness. I live protected by God's infinite light. So long as I remain in the heart of it, nothing and no one can harm me. I live protected by God's infinite light. So long as I remain in the heart of it, nothing and no one can harm me. I live protected by God's infinite light. So long as I remain in the heart of it, nothing and no one can harm me. Now focusing deeply at the point between the eyebrows, taking into the superconscious mind. I live protected by God's infinite light. So long as I remain in the heart of it, nothing and no one can harm me. I live protected by God's infinite light. So long as I remain in the heart of it, nothing and no one can harm me. I live protected by God's infinite light. So long as I remain in the heart of it, nothing and no one can harm me. And this is what I do now for repeating.
This reading is from the Promise of Immortality, and it's detailed parallel commentaries by Swamiji on parallel passages from the Bhagavad Gita and the Bible. I'm just reading an excerpt from this. Jesus is quoted in the Bible as saying, "He that taketh not his cross and followeth after me is not worthy of me." To take up one's cross signifies to attempt with faith and courage, and not with self-pity, whatever tests come one's way. Otherwise, merely to live in this world is anyway to bear the cross of material existence, with its burdens of fatigue, hunger, and physical and emotional distress. Suffering is familiar to all men. Injustice and cruelty are the common law. Sorrows and happiness alternate constantly in life. Generally, however, people have no conception of why they suffer. They may consider themselves victim of an indifferent destiny, of an angry God, or of hostile forces that they are powerless to combat, lacking either the wisdom or the courage to lift their consciousness from suffering to inner joy. They may blame their difficulties simply on life's unfairness. They may even develop what the French call nostalgia for the mud, seeking unconsciousness through drugs or alcohol. Stupefaction is one of the subtle symptoms of the disease of spiritual ignorance. Milder ways of escaping reality are to develop hours daily to watching television or to spending time in other harmless but time-wasting diversions. Sukadeva, a great saint in ancient India, stated, "All time is wasted that is not spent in seeking God." To most people, the suffering they endure are afflictions, not opportunities for growing in wisdom. A true devotee offers up his trials bravely, even lovingly to God. He sees every test as an opportunity for spiritual gain. Each test passed brings him an increase of inner freedom, inner joy, and wisdom. At last, he learns to behold God's love behind every trial. No longer do his tests then seem like punishments, whether karmic or divine. Resurrection in the highest sense occurs on a soul level. Tribulations through a cross that all human beings must bear is welcome to those who aspire to attain freedom in God. Joyful submission, indeed, is the way to pay off one's karmic debts without incurring any new one. Resentment, on the other hand, only adds new debts to the old ones. Cosmic law is unrelenting. Its purpose is to teach recognition of the underlying unity of all life. I hand over to Jamalji now.
Thank you. That was a beautiful affirmation and beautiful reading. I'm going to start with a point in that reading, which was how to overcome our karma, or how to pay it off, with Swamiji's words, without incurring any new karma. And so, of course, the topic today is how to meet our spiritual tests. And if we have the right attitude, then we can meet our spiritual tests in the right way. And I want to give a very concrete example here. So let's say that we have a boss who is mistreating us. And so we have that karma. And so we could think that, well, maybe I was the boss in the last incarnation, and I didn't treat that person so well, and now he or she is the boss, and now I'm not being treated so well. But if we have an attitude of resentment, it's just going to flip again, and that we will have to overcome it. An important point here is, will we have to overcome it with that exact same person? If we become free of it in this lifetime, we will not. If we can just learn to forgive the other person, whatever the situation is, and really make sure in our own heart that we're clear and clean, then that other person will have to work out that same karma, but they'll work it out with someone else, not necessarily with us. So just sitting there and just kind of not saying anything and bearing the karma, but on the inside, if we were festering and thinking, but on the outside we're smiling and, oh, great, yeah, great, life's great, then we have not met our spiritual test properly. We have not overcome it. It will come back again. It's probably better to smile rather than blow up and yell and have some big confrontation, because then we might even have to face that confrontation again, that big yelling and blowing up and all of that. And there's also times that we're not in control of our emotions, and we can just accept that. But we can then channel that in at least decent ways rather than terrible ways. And we can at least start to get better karma. This example that I took seems so loaded. I want to just take another example here that's a much lighter. Let's say that, here, let's take this. I had this, I don't know, you probably can't see it right there, but it says lime chia bar. It just happened to be given to me, and I ate it the other day. It's still sitting here because I thought, wow, that was so good. I need to take a picture of that wrapper so that I can order some more on Amazon before I throw away the wrapper. I haven't met my spiritual test there 100% correctly, because if I had, I would think, okay, this yummy thing came, it's all right, And if God wants to give it to me again, all right. If not, all right. And now you might think I'm being a little bit too strict on myself. Well, on the one hand, I did keep the darn wrapper here. So on one hand, that little things like food, we don't have to worry too much about it, that it's not the thing that's going to bind us here forever. On the other hand, every single desire has to be neutralized, meaning we can face it with, it's nice. If I never have it again, all right. If I have it 20 more times every day for the next 3 weeks or whatever, all right. With that space of neutrality. So, and then when we have that space of neutrality on the inside, we know that we've overcome that particular karma. And we have to learn to really watch ourselves on the inside. Here's another fascinating thing for those of you who are Kriya Bonds. As you practice Kriya, you might think, lime chia bar. If that's just lime chia bar, you could do one Kriya, gone, burn it, never think about it again. But each one of these thoughts, they have different levels of strength. There's a different level of energy that is behind each one of our thoughts. And if you analyze your thoughts, you'll feel that there's some thoughts, they're just so strong. You're fighting with all your will in Kriya, or to sit there if you only know Hong Sa, and trying to cast that thought out, but it's like the thought itself is stronger. And so we have to become aware of levels of energy, of the strength of energy that is binding this karma to us, you could say. And then we have to, here's another important point that I wanted to make this morning, we have to raise our energy level to higher than that. And we will not graduate on the spiritual path unless we learn how to have very, very high energy. And so if we have I don't want to meditate this morning, maybe tonight, we're definitely not going to become Jivan Muktas with that type of attitude. That we have to have that willingness, that power. And even if you're at that space right now, I don't want to meditate this morning, it's okay. I'm not judging you. I've been there myself. But slowly we learn how to at least do whatever we can do, how to have more and more energy flow through us. And then we can loosen up some of these karmas, we can burn them, we can overcome them, we can become higher and higher energy people. Then we can face the big tests with high energy, with God's energy. And we're going to have to face these tests. There's no way around it. You've maybe heard the saying that only tested love is true. Well, only tested spirituality is true as well. And Master said that these tests are given to us in order that we may become stronger. That I'm the only one who laughs at this. I just find it so funny. That a dog cannot strengthen its teeth by chewing on upma. That it needs a bone in order to strengthen its teeth. That it chews on a bone and then its teeth get stronger. By the way, God gave us raw carrots and the like so that we can also keep our teeth strong, but that's very much an aside. Master also said that if you're a wrestler, I was trying to go for the Hindi word, but I only know kushti. But kushti means wrestling, I think, and not wrestler. Anyways, if you're a wrestler, you're not going to become a stronger wrestler by going and finding, there's the weakest, skinniest looking guy, I'm going to go wrestle with him. And then see everyone, see how strong I am? You won't get stronger that way. If you go find a guy who's a little bit stronger than you, and then wrestle with him every day until you can beat him, then you get stronger. And then you look for the next strongest guy and the next strongest guy. Probably not an analogy that all of us can relate to, but Master wants you to become stronger. That's the point here. And so these tests, they're given to us so that we can become stronger. We don't necessarily have to become physically stronger. We need to become stronger in our ability to control our emotions in our ability to control our energy, in our ability to control our minds, in our ability to control our habits, in our ability to bring in good habits and good company, good friends to help overcome the bad habits and the bad karma that we might have. And to do all of this, it takes willingness on our part, that we have to want to change. So many human beings live with a probably unspoken attitude. How bad can I be and get away with it? And we want the exact opposite there. How good can we be? And even once we reach that level of goodness, how can we become even better? Until we become perfect, even as Ram is perfect, even as Krishna is perfect. That we too, it's our destiny to become that perfect. So good doesn't just mean some little outward deed. Good means perfected in consciousness. And we can shy away. That's worse than wrestling some big strong guy out there. That's a big challenge. But we can shy away from that as long as we want. Thinking, me? Really? No, whoa. As perfect as Ram, Krishna, me? No. But yes. And we can kind of hide from that as long as we want. But once we realize, well, that's my destiny. It might take me a few more lifetimes than Swami Kriyananda. Well, all right. At least I'm going to go in that direction. Why should I go in the wrong direction? It's where I have to go anyways. And then I may as well put as much energy into it as I can and just keep trying. One of the great secrets of the spiritual path is simply never give up and just keep trying. Master said that the season of failure is the best time to sow the seeds of spiritual success. That I want to talk about our farm, our land that we have in Chandigarh. We planted these seeds during monsoon. I'm flabbergasted at how tall these things came up so quickly. I would have never guessed how things can grow with Mother Nature's energy and the prana that's in rain and just these nature cycles that work the way they're supposed to. But that's not the point of today's satsang. But the point is, if you take Master's advice and you sow those seeds of success, even in the season of, when things go wrong, in the season of failure, so you make some mistake, rather than thinking, I am this mistake, I'm such a loser, I'll never succeed, we think, God, you made that mistake through me, now you give me the strength to do the right thing, and let's do right from here on, God. And then he'll give you that strength, and you can decide, and you never have to do whatever that wrong action was again. And we just keep going in that direction, in the right direction. And they say that God comes like a thief in the night, that we just keep trying, and then suddenly he's there. I know from my own experience that meditation can be like that we might sit there and do everything right, at least we think we're doing everything right, and still we're restless and there's no peace. And sometimes we might be sitting there and we're just, let's face it, we're not concentrating well, but we just say a little prayer to Master, please help, and he comes. And suddenly we're having a beautiful meditation. We didn't even know that that much peace was even possible. If we call to God, he can come. So there's one way right there to meet our tests, is with God. Call on God. Believe in prayer. There was a mother who believed in the power of prayer. Her son was sick. And yet she found that she was so restless that she couldn't pray properly. She knew the fault was hers, not God's, because she couldn't sit there for a half hour straight and just pray unrelentingly to God to please heal her son. And she realized that she needed meditation. And all of us have gone through this in one form or another, where we realize that we are restless. And we have to learn how to overcome that restlessness. And simply by trying, if you take a glass of muddy water, that if you just let it sit there long enough, the mud will settle to the bottom and the water will become clear. The same with our consciousness. But very often we think, well, but I'm not doing a good job at meditation. Why should I just sit here? Even to try is a higher dharma than to get up and to do some lower dharma. And just keep trying. And eventually our consciousness, it does become more and more clear. Meditation does become easier and easier. And eventually we will get there. We don't realize, but we are transforming our astral body as we practice the techniques that Paramhansa Yogananda has given us. And as we practice those, change is happening, even if we can't see it. So another way that we can meet our challenges, our spiritual challenges, is with faith. That we have to believe that Master knows what he's doing and that he's given us both these challenges. So yes, you can blame him, but whatever problem is there, whatever challenge is there, that he's also given us the solution. Be a solution-oriented person. That life is always dual, solution and problem, solution, problem. But most people tend to look either on the problem side or on the solution side. Be more of the person that always is looking on the solution side. Obviously, you have to look at the problem. You have to analyze it, that awareness precedes control. You have to clearly see, okay, what is the problem? But then switch. And now, what is the solution? And if you don't know, you could ask it again. And God, and the solution is? And God, and the solution is? And then if you listen very sensitively and you ask him, you ask her, she'll give you the solution. She has to give you the solution. We just have to learn to listen sensitively. And if we don't see the solution right away, you can back off a little bit, relax, and then ask again and listen sensitively, and the solution, it will be there. It's always there. It's part of duality, that if there's a problem, there has to be the solution. Learn to live in that solution consciousness. It's so much more joyful, because then we get to have a happy light outlook on life, and it works better. It's the way to be. So how else should we meet our spiritual challenges? Another way is with friends. Don't always feel that you have to go on alone. Swamiji, of course, wrote the song, Go On Alone. Inwardly, yes. The last analysis, yes. But that's because in the last analysis, God is everything. But practically speaking, when you have a decision you don't know, call a spiritual friend. If you're feeling a little bit spiritually down, call a spiritual friend. Notice the word spiritual. Don't call a negative, non-spiritual friend who's just going to tell you, yeah, it is that bad. I feel so bad for you. Sorry for you, pal. It's bad. It's bad. That might just bring you down. But if you call a spiritual friend, they'll say, let's ask God for the solution. Let's pray together. Let's chant. Let's raise our level of energy. Let's see what we can do about this. And take comfort in your friends, that in the end it's God in those friends who wants to help. And don't only take from your friends, also give to your friends. And try to see how you can give the highest advice. Meditate before you give advice. Raise your level of energy. Learn to feel when your energy is at the spiritual eye. Master, sometimes he would give interviews to people. He would say that he couldn't feel his body below the neck, that he could only feel the energy so strongly here, that obviously he's Master. He's just giving God to these people and giving the right advice. Another thing on friendship, don't presume on it and don't force your opinions. Gently give what you feel is right. Allow others the space to grow and to be who they truly are. And that will give you strong spiritual friendships. And by the way, these friendships, they're not built in just one life. If you already have that friendship, it's from past lifetimes. But then don't Don't just take that for granted. Nourish it, like the rain in monsoon on our field over there in Chandigarh. Nourish your relationships by giving them the proper energy so that next lifetime they can be even stronger. We simply don't achieve God realization on our own, that we take God's help through many, many other people. Another thing that we can do to meet our challenges is to be realistic. Yes, Master said, bite off more than you can chew, and chew it. So that's fine, but take a little bit more than you think that you can handle. But if it's way bigger than you are, why take on that challenge and get defeated and then feel down? Take on bigger and bigger ones. You know, maybe what I'm trying to say here is, don't be afraid to say no. That we can't do everything on this life, and God has specific things that he wants to do through us, and other these specific tasks, they might come our way, but they very well may be designed for someone else to learn those karmic lessons. So we can learn to ask sensitively, God, do you really want me to take this particular duty, this particular outward assignment? God, do you really want me to take this inner particular emotional struggle on? Answer may be yes, maybe no. You know, not all challenges in life, all karmas are just outward responsibilities. That sometimes people take on kind of inner burdens and they help other people work those things out in an inner manner. And God might want you to do that. He might not. And so we have to learn to listen sensitively as to what it is that God wants us to do. You know, you might be, let's take a silly example. What's the silly example? I don't know. You might be much better at hammering nails into a piece of wood to build a piece of furniture, much better than your neighbor or whatever. And you might watch your neighbor struggling to do this, and you might think, I'm so much better at, I should just go over there and just build that piece of furniture. I'm so much better at this than him. But the thing is, God, you already learned that lesson in a past lifetime. God doesn't want you to learn that in this one. So just let your neighbor back off and let him learn what he needs to learn about hammering nails. Now, of course, I took a silly example. Most of us probably aren't hammering nails in this incarnation, which is fine. But you can expand that into very real arenas in your life of different duties that you do, that you might be so much better than the other person, but allow people to learn the lessons that they need to learn. You know, as we talk about meeting life's challenges, meeting these spiritual challenges, we also can be joyful when these challenges come. And we can be so grateful that, wow, now I'm getting the opportunity to learn XYZ. You know, it's a healthy thing for us to have hobbies so that we're not just lopsided people. So let's say you took up the hobby of learning to draw. You'll like it. It's fun. It's like, oh, I might not be good at this, but I want to do this. And here's a challenge. And I know that I can attune myself and take little different lessons or whatever. And after a while, you draw some things, and eventually you have this picture that actually looks like what you were trying to draw, and it's fun. And the whole process was fun. We can look at all of life's challenges as we grow as fun like that. And what a unique, interesting opportunity for me to change myself and develop in a new and creative way. Or we can look at it as, oh my God, why does this always happen to me? Well, that kind of attitude right there has a magnetism. Why does this always happen to me? And it's going to draw that same thing to us again and again and again. Why does it always happen to me? Because I haven't learned my lesson yet. And I just say, oh, I see a little karmic pattern here. This seems to be happening again and again. All right, what can I do to overcome this karmic pattern? And all of us have different karmic patterns, and it's all right. It's the beauty of life, really. It's so beautiful when we get to look and learn and see, and also don't blame others. Here's another way to meet these challenges. Well, who do we think created these challenges? It's us. There's no one else to blame. That we, either in this lifetime or in a past lifetime, have created these unique challenges that are going to come to us. And we can just be happy about that, and we can take responsibility for it, and then we can change. And we have no idea the power that's been given to us with Kriya Yoga. It is an immense power that can help us change. This is one of the greatest tools that God has given to mankind in order for us to become different people, radically different people, to become highly, highly, highly advanced spiritual people, to become highly, highly joyful spiritual people. So please don't take that tool lightly. And if you don't have it yet, take it seriously, to advance, to do what's necessary in order to pick up that tool. And then if you already have it, even if life beats you down, get back up and start practicing your Kriya. You know, I was speaking with a friend the other day. Everybody approaches COVID differently, but some people, you go through COVID and you can't do your Kriyas. It's harder to do them anyways. But we can still try, and we can even do a few, cough a few times, and then do a few more, and cough a few times, and then do a few more. I can't go too deep into Kriya here today, but the point is never give up, because it's so easy. Some outward situation comes and you just think, well, I can't do it. I have blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, you do, but it's so that you could learn to get stronger. Here's another beautiful thing that Swamiji would say. And this was from his mother. His mother, when she was young, she used to play the violin, and then she broke her finger, and then I have no idea how the violin works. But I'm sure that you need your fingers to be just right so you can press all of the different notes, for lack of knowledge on how the violin works. So she broke her finger, and she couldn't press the notes properly. So then she decided, well, I could just give up and never play again, or true, I won't be able to, be the world's best violinist now, but I can still play and enjoy it. And so she came up with a saying, if something is worth doing, it's worth doing poorly. And that saying's just so much fun, because normally the saying is, if something is worth doing, it's worth doing well. That also has merit to whatever we do. Try to do your best at it. But sometimes in life, we just want to have fun, and we stop ourselves because we think, oh, if I can't do it perfectly, what will people say about me? Maybe I just shouldn't even try. Try. Who cares what people say about you? Most people are wrong most of the time. That's a very freeing statement, and it's a very true statement, because most people are just going with Maya, mass consciousness, asking their neighbor, what do you think? Oh, then they're just repeating that without even thinking about it. It's not even true. It's the saints who can look at life and actually say true things. Learn to become like a saint. Ultimately, learn to become a saint. Learn to look at life with unbiased eyeballs, without these filters that the world puts on us. And if you can really learn to see what truth is, well, then this is the best way to approach tests or challenges on the spiritual path. That you can see exactly what's coming, and you can know exactly the right way to confront that test. And that kind of wisdom comes through trial and error, through experience, through simply growing up spiritually. And it also comes from learning to listen sensitively to what God wants. And all of this, it's an art. it comes over time, that it's not going to just come in one day. I could go on forever about how to face our spiritual tests, because God has sure given me my fair number of them in this incarnation. But I want to end speaking now. And I want to change this over to questions and answers. And so if anyone has any questions about anything, I was going to say spiritual, I'll even anything. If you have questions about anything, let's see what Divine Mother can do through me here. So I'll open it up now for questions. I'll take the verbal question there, and then I'll take the one on the chat. So go ahead in the center, yeah.
May I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
Jamalji, we are surrounded by all sorts of people, like you said, and not everybody is spiritual. So we have a good share of materialism and spirituality all around us. I need your opinion on how should we choose to spend our time or balance our lives, because there are so many people around us who want our time. They come to us when they see our vibrations or our energy. They want to spend time with us, but we know that, we are not on the same path. We still want to guide them or spend time with them. And we have to choose between our times being limited, having family responsibilities. So how should we balance that? Because sometimes saying no to everybody who is non-spiritual also feels bad. People approaching us for friendships or for help. How should we go about it?
So let your meter be the person's receptivity to God, really. God through you. So if a very materialistic person comes, or a very negative person or whatever, and they want your help, but you feel that you're subtly being a secret agent for God, and that they have a receptivity to what you're saying, and they are receiving it, and they're saying, yes, I can change myself, and yes, I would like to do that, and yes, I will do that, then don't turn those people away. You'll get bad karma for that. And we can't help everybody all at the same day, but you can also have a schedule and tell people I'll get back to you in 1 week, or whatever the case may be, and spread things over time. But Swamiji, I think it's worth spending 3 minutes on this story. In a past life, Swamiji lived in Rajasthan, in Kapil Muni's ashram, and he chanted for 20 years, and he achieved high states of spirituality. And by the way, my brother monk Vineet went to that ashram in Rajasthan. But then Swamiji's wife, he was married in that incarnation, he had just kind of pushed her away for 20 years. Then she said, I want to come, I want to find God. And he said, woman, get away from me. I'm only going for God. And he got very bad karma for that. And in fact, he said it's why he had to have a pacemaker in this incarnation, why he had so much heart troubles. Because if anyone wants God, that we have to help them. So if Master could do it and have God knows how many interviews per day, and Swami Kriyananda could do it, that you too can learn how to arrange your life in order to help people. But then if people are receptive, well, give them a minute or something, but then gotta go and go on to your next duty. And please don't forsake your family in this also, that you have to give them the appropriate amount of energy. Swamiji, Paramhansa Yogananda said that the spiritual path is like a race where you have to do stunts along the way. And you're running, and you have to do this, and you have to do that, and you have to help this person, and you're juggling, and you're riding a unicycle, and you're going, and it's just like, is this possible? But it is possible. And then don't lose your inner center in the middle of all of this. That if ever you're losing your inner center, it's too much. And that can be also one of your highest things, that let peace be your bottom line. And if your inner center is gone, you're not serving anyways. You're not truly helping people. You're just in that rajasic crazy spinning. So make sure that you always are able to come back and do that. And don't be afraid of this challenge also. It is a challenge. And the more we all grow, the more people do want to hear from us, the more energy we have, and we just have to keep recentering that. And take a day per week also that's, you probably can't do this, but maybe even 2 or 3 hours, whatever the case may be, that's just for you, where you go deep into meditation in that one day per week so that you can make sure you have that centeredness. Because to only run around serving others, it's not it. That your meditation has to be there, and that also has to grow. And then give it to God, that we can't do it all either. So there's no one right answer for that, except just keep trying and listening sensitively to who God wants you to help. That's a good question. I want to give more on that one, but I also want to answer these 2 questions in the chat. So when we get upset or angry, or when we experience pain and suffering, it is only because we want something different from what life has given us. So true, Swapna. If we have 0 desires, it's impossible for us to get angry. And I heard Swamiji, once someone asked him how to deal with anger, and he said, I've never been angry in this incarnation. That just, whoa, all of us, we had a hard time, like, kind of even, it was like, okay, you're so high up here. Anyways, how to overcome challenges of anger, intolerance in a positive way. Learn to watch the energy in your spine. Learn to get so subtle that you can feel the energy. We all know, I assume all of us at least taken level 1, that when we inhale, it's energy that's coming up the spine that causes us to inhale, and vice versa with the exhalation. Learn to feel that, learn to watch that, and you learn to gain control there, and then whatever is going on the outer circumstances, it won't shake you anymore. But if you try one by one, okay, when that guy tells me that I don't have a good fashion sense, I'm not going to get angry this time, I'm not going to get angry. And then he comes and tells you and you get angry again. It's because these are deeply seated energy samskars in there. We have to learn, and you can feel it sometimes. Your energy just goes, boom, and you just, well, of course you're going to react and get angry. That's time to just step away from the situation, tense a few times, go out, do some double breathing, do some full yogic breath, do a few kriyas, gain control, then come back into the situation and say, I love you, okay, let's talk this out. But if you're not aware of what's going on the deep-seated way that life works, you won't be able to overcome anger. So do those practical things, take a few breaths, step away from the situation, meditate more, watch your thoughts even in meditation when you're not near these people. Are your thoughts going wild? Are you getting angry there, just sitting in meditation thinking about that guy? Fix it right there in meditation. Learn to love that person anyways, and learn to just give everything up to God, especially in your meditation. Have that peace, then bring that peace into daily life. We say peace, 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 peace on the spiritual path. It's a sacred thing. It's a really precious thing. It's so much more precious than just the words that we say, peace, peace, peace. Take peace as precious. Dive deep in meditation. It's so much more precious than gold. And then you protect your gold, obviously. Protect your peace. Protect it. Hold on to it. And don't just give it away. And then become strong enough where no one can take it away from you. It's mine. Mine. My peace. And obviously in the end it's God's. But for now we can have a little bit of ego and we say this is my peace and you're not going to take it away from me. Obviously that's an inner job. If you start off the conversation that way, it's going to go south right away. But inwardly feel that nobody can take that away from you. And then just keep working on it. One more thing on this. Let's say you get angry. It's my understanding that energy is coming in through the medulla, going down, going out through the 3rd chakra, and anger. that same energy can be withdrawn upar to the 5th chakra, manifest as peace. It can still go out. It's peace. It's the same energy, but we have to learn how to feel it, how to control it, and how to live in the higher 3 chakras: love, peace, joy. Learn to live up here. Learn to have your energy up here more times, and you'll learn how to control this and how to channel it. And that was just one way of channeling energy. I know masters of people say negative things to them, and they just, oh, maybe you're right. Or maybe they say, you know, I was out at the lake the other day and there was ducks. And you're just thinking, like, that guy just gave an insult, and then this guy's talking about ducks. And you just realize that guy's just changing the energy into somewhere so weird that you don't even know what to say next. Nobody in the room knows what to say next. They're like, hatred and ducks. It's like, what? And then he'll just say something fun. Like, there's so many different ways to just change the energy, to do different things. Learn different ways. Mix with different people. Learn these different creative things. Next question, how does one sow the right seeds to attract harmonious and cooperative relationships? I'm just going to stop right there. Someone I know, she wrote Swamiji a letter saying, I want a husband, and he needs to have this, 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 this. Swamiji wrote back and said, you just want to marry Jesus Christ. Well, first of all, you wouldn't even be happy if you were married to Jesus Christ, because you're filled with all kinds of desires and you want to go do all this stuff. And Jesus Christ would just want to sit there all day and meditate. Om. You wouldn't be happy even if you were married to a Jesus Christ. And then he said, but if you really want that, let's say if you really want to be married to Ram, first you have to become Sita. That Ram's not just going to get married to some random, person who's doing all kinds of wrong things. And so we have to change ourselves. I'm happy that Diti finds that so funny. We have to change ourselves, and we have to become really deeply spiritual, good people, and then we will attract deeply spiritual, good people. And we are all mixed at this point of our spiritual evolution, and we just have to accept that. And whatever karma we have in our relationships right now, just accept it, and then just try to give as much love, peace, and joy as you can outwardly to these people, and keep trying to transform yourself inwardly into a place where none of that can touch you. And learn to watch your thoughts, because we think we're good people. But when we really analyze our thoughts, let's face it, we think all kinds of negative stuff about all kinds of different people. It's not our job to judge them. It's our job to judge ourselves and fix ourselves. And God will help those people. God will take care of those people. But you'll notice your relationships will become harmonious even without having all these long, drawn-out counseling meetings and all this. If you just fix your thoughts and you're just projecting harmonious, loving thoughts towards these people all the time and just accepting them as they are, the relationships, it's magic how that can change. Obviously, there's the prayer for peace and harmony. You can learn that. You can do that. And now I'll come to the second part of this. How does one reverse the pattern of betrayal and rejection? Learn to love everyone. Learn not to reject anyone. There's some amazing people out there that they're so dark and negative and just filled with hatred. And you meet them sometimes and you just, wow. It's impressive that Divine Mother can just put people through so much just different things. And now people like this might be in your family. You might have to just deal with it. There's no getting away from it. Okay, learn to love unconditionally. If these people are just part of the outer circle, you can avoid them as much as you can. Give light wherever you can, and Divine Mother asks you to, but otherwise avoid those people. But then learn to become loyal to those who are your own. Become loyal to them. Become loyal to Master. That loyalty it goes deep. There was just a moment, it was maybe a month ago or something, but I was just standing in front of the picture of Master, and I just realized that I had not really understood loyalty. That I thought loyalty was just, show up to Ananda Sangha, tell everybody how much I love Guruji. But I realized that he knows all of my thoughts, he knows all of my wrong actions, and if I'm truly loyal, that I can actually offer those to him, and he can help me with them. But if I'm not loyal, there's this inner thing like, well, hopefully he didn't see that one, or hopefully it's no big deal. But as we're trying to become as perfect as Sita, as perfect as Ram, well, of course he saw it. And the thing is, he wants to help. But if I'm not loyal, I kind of push him away. But if I'm loyal, I can feel his heart, and I can feel that he is there, and that he does want to help, and that he'll give the strength to overcome absolutely everything. And this isn't the first incarnation here, probably, for most of us that were with Master. And we're trying to learn, how do we take this loyalty all the way to the end, to where we can become Jivan Muktas, where we can learn to see that time is an illusion, and see through time and realize who we truly are, who Master truly is. So don't take this topic of loyalty lightly. And we're all refining it down here right now on Earth with our coworkers, with our family. And I'm not asking you to be loyal to wrong principles, but even sometimes loyalty to a person is saying, I think you're wrong. Because I'm loyal to you, I'm not going to just go along with what you're doing right now. And I have to tell you, I think you're wrong. I'm still your friend. If you want to continue to do that, okay. I respect your free will and you can do it. But it's my opinion that that what you're doing is wrong here. Anyways, also let people ask you first to give them advice before you go and heap it upon them. That is another good way to preserve friendships. Also, let's say someone betrays you in this incarnation. You could get so angry, and you could just think, oh, I'm gonna get that guy. And you know what? You probably, well, I mean, you could try to do something for revenge in this lifetime. Hopefully we're a little bit more elevated than that. But that whole thing's gonna spin around again in next incarnation, and you're just gonna go out of control betraying that person, and you won't even know why. And it's because it festered in this incarnation inwardly. So to reverse this pattern of betrayal, forgive that person now, and realize that person's just operating in delusion. He or she doesn't know what the heck they're doing. They're just running after desires and what they think is going to make them happy and what's right. They're not aware. So forgive them in their ignorance. I mean, you don't get mad at the dog for chasing the car and barking at its tires as it runs down the street. It's just its nature. You're like, stupid little dog, that's just what it does. Okay. And so same with lowly evolved human beings, and all of us relative to Master probably are. We're going to make mistakes. Forgive people, and then you're free, and that's what we want. Alok, you have had your hand patiently raised for a long time. How can I help you? You're muted.
I'm sorry. I have a question, Jemalji. Actually, I do not know how for relevant is this in this context. First, the question is kind of the meditation and the other technique we do carry out faithfully. That actually it's expected to lead us to the path of self-realization. But I just want to know the service part. It's a service to the mankind, any kind. I mean, providing food or medical support or any kind of educations, etc. How important is that to the service of the mankind? That is how important is that so far our progress is concerned?
Sure.
This is my question.
So it's very important, no one achieves self-realization without serving mankind. And then even when we read about Babaji up in the Himalayas, or we read about Ram Gopal Mazumdar, who was up there meditating for 18 hours a day or whatever it was, it looks like, oh, they've advanced so high, they no longer need to serve mankind. But that is not true. They're still serving mankind by putting the right thoughts into people's minds when it's necessary, or by shifting outward karma. Master, I forget which one it was now, whether it was Master or Babaji, but they put it into Hitler's mind to divide his troops during World War II so that he would lose. It's like little things like, well, that's not little at all, but it's fascinating. And so if you tried to just, and I know this from my own experience, to just withdraw from life and say, I'm just going to meditate for a long time, you may climb very high spiritually, that you will grow very quickly as you put that concentrated effort into your spirituality. But you're almost building a karma bank, or you're using it up, or you're going maybe even to karmic debt, because you're not, whatever experiences you're having on that day-to-day basis, you're not sharing those with other people. You're not uplifting them by what you're gaining. So you're just holding it to yourself. So if you only hold meditation only to yourself, somehow it will slip through your fingers and you'll wonder, how did this happen? I was flying up here and suddenly it's gone. And so we cannot be selfish even with our own meditation. It's why we pray at the end. We're trying to become like Babaji and send out healing vibrations, healing thoughts to others with that higher consciousness that we gain through meditation. Now, don't run off in the other direction, just serve, and not meditate. We have to find a balance. And there's times, maybe you will have 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, whatever, where you're just meditating. Fine. Then come back and serve. But in general, we teach a balanced path of do some seva every day, do some meditation every day. And you get to work out the fine little details. Also, whatever seva is yours is uniquely yours. Divine Mother may want you to serve in a jail. For somebody else, they just have zero need to do that, and that's just not their dharma. So we all have to look as to how does Divine Mother want us to serve in this particular incarnation. But no matter what we're doing, we're trying to bring a higher level of vibration to different people. We're trying to bring God consciousness in whichever way is appropriate to those that we serve. So it's very important, Alok.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next in the chat, someone had, oh, it's that time, but I'll do this last thing in the chat here, which is, what is the easiest way to forgive from your inner core? And I think the answer is in the question there. It is to actually go into your inner core. That as we go into our inner core, we feel this very soft love that just knows that it is one with everyone, that understands the person's ignorance from an omnipresent kind of point of view, and is expansive and is kind and loving. And so it's not difficult then anymore to forgive. It's our truest nature, that we are just forgiveness. It's who we are. It's not like we're going out there to try to figure something out. So go into your inner core. And if you're meditating and you're in this 50-50 state where I kind of love that person and I kind of hate that person, why do you do that? Then we haven't really reached our inner core. When we really reach our inner core, that it's just pure love, and it's pure understanding, pure compassion, pure tolerance. And that doesn't even mean that we just become soft and just, oh, okay, punch me in the face. It's okay. I'm in my inner core. I'm pure love now. there's times to be stern with people and tell them it's wrong and no, you cannot do that. This is unacceptable. But when we come from that inner core space, it happens in a certain way. I know we're over time. I'm sorry, but I have to tell this story. Master was scolding someone and just yelling, and they said you would have felt the roof was going to come off. And then he'd turn around, and there was a different disciple there, and he just smiled, and he was just like, basically saying this is all just a show. Then he turned back around and yelled, never do that again. And then turned back and forth this went on. And one day I decided I'm going to try this. This sounds fun. So there were some laborers who weren't quite doing right stuff a long time ago on the Pune land. And so I tried this little thing. Many of you may know Bara. And so I turned back around and then I was smiling at Bara. And it was fun, but I felt I couldn't do it as well as Master. That when I went home that night, I felt there was this like little black streak on my soul of where I was yelling, that yelling was still with me, that I couldn't just completely clean it off. And I told myself, and I haven't, that I wouldn't do that again until I felt that I could come from this true space in my inner core where I knew that it was 100%, not just 99.5%, but 100% just an outer show that couldn't affect me inwardly. And so I'm still trying to reach that space on the inside, but as close as we get, it becomes more and more joyful. But that was just a really true story that I felt might be appropriate here. I think it's time for us to close with healing prayers. Let's take a moment to do the best that we can, to just sit upright, take a few deep breaths, go into that space, feel the energy moving in your spine, feel that inner core that has never changed, never will change. And let's visualize anyone we know who's in need of healing. Let's again pray together. Divine Mother, Thou art omnipresent. Thou art in all Thy children. Manifest Thy healing presence in their bodies, in their minds, and in their souls. Let's rub our hands together. And let's chant Om 3 times together. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you all. I've had a wonderful, wonderful time this morning. It's been very, very joyful. And I just realized I was looking at the schedule. I'm sorry I stole the healing prayers from you, Alok, there, but next time I definitely want you to do that. And this has been just been a great joy. I feel more at my own inner center by simply spending time with all of you. So thank you.
Thank you, Jemalji. Thank you. I'm sorry I sneaked in the Kolkata group.
You have to. We would start crying if you never come here again. So you have to.
Physically, I cannot be at the center. So I thought I'll just sneak in this here.
We are
Thank
all
you.
for it.
Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Thank you,
Okay,
Jamalji.
everyone. Okay. Have a great day.
You can-